Welcome to Circle of Hearts Radio. Journey with Grandmother Alaya as she enters her magical world of relics, sacred sites, and ancient crystal skulls. Meet with exciting trailblazer authors and individuals shifting the consciousness of humanity. Send her your questions to be answered on air on her monthly segment, Ask the Oracle. And now your host, Grandmother Alaya, in the sanctuary on the airwaves on OMTimes Radio.
Welcome to Circle of Hearts Radio on OMTimes Radio FM. Today I got Charlie with me. And, we have these spontaneous talks once a month. We look and see what can we add or show different perceptions to on what everybody's going through. And it's really funny. A few weeks ago, we came across the words releasing and integration. And after all these energies and the Lion's Gate and everything that's been happening, everybody's been so bombarded, and we figured, okay, this is sort of like a follow-through. Then Charlie writes this morning, "You have any ideas?" And I go, "Nope." So, this is very spontaneous today because we were both pretty much given the idea of just open our mouths, which who knows where we're going to be really led, right, Charlie?
Correct. We don't know. That's the amazing fun of our show, is that when we started, it was spontaneous, heart-to-soul talks. And so right now we're in the process of coming right back around to that. Interesting when those two words came to me, because we love to play with words and shift the consciousness of how people think about words and how they use the words, and try to extract new meaning from the words. And for the past week, I've been trying to tune into those words and receiving no messages at all, which is really, really strange for me. Had one good conversation with my guides, and I didn't tape it. And the message came, "Charlie, if anybody knows about releasing and integration, it's you."
That's true.
So here we are.
Yeah, I was going to say, just before the show, we got on and we're discussing, this interesting state that we're in. And I think we come to realize that we are in we've passed the shift. We've gone over the hump. We got our foot into the new, the now. And a lot of the words that we are familiar with, they don't quite pertain, to some level of understanding. We need to kind of upgrade them. Charlie had mentioned, we constantly hear letting go. Well, enough letting go. Let's figure out what we're doing in this releasing. I was thinking the word releasing. If you take it apart, and leasing. Leasing means to hold on or to anchor into something. If we release it, it means to readjust. Does that make any sense?
That's beautiful. That's perfect. I didn't even think of digesting that or dissecting that word. Thank you. That's awesome.
No, that just popped in my head.
Oh, that's why I love you, darling. This is a releasing, right? Because the letting go is that it's boring for me now. It's so old, and redundant for me. Letting go, and I keep saying, but I'm not trying to hold on to this. This is stuff that's stuck now. I don't even know where it came from anymore. It could have come from 17,000 lifetimes ago on another planet. Enough. I can't let go what I don't know I have hold of. So part of my concept of the word releasing was let's take that word, because that means we know that we have something and we want to move it out of ourselves. So let's release it. But releasing, that's a great observation to look and say, what do we want to tap into to release? We're releasing, letting go of something, but we're also redoing something. We're refocusing. So if you lease a car, the word that comes to me, you lease a car, it's a temporary agreement. It's a temporary contract. You don't have to own it. You just have to borrow it for a little while and utilize it for its worth. And then when you send it back to get another car, there's no sad remorse, there's no drama, there's no energy spent, because you know that in the first place it was only temporary.
And I think we've all gone, the mass consciousness, I was telling Charlie, I'm seeing people coming out of the woodwork on different groups. Some people are saying, in other countries, I feel isolated. There's nobody around that understands me. But on that group, I mentioned to them, well, you found us. And I said, the whole thing is not to, try to teach people things. Just be yourself. Come from your heart. Follow your heart. What's inside of you. And people will be drawn to you. Let's forget the old, teacher-student thing. It doesn't pertain anymore. We're all the same. Some of us don't quite recognize it, and some of us are still learning. But that word, releasing, what came to me also was, let's stop focusing so hard on, like Charlie says, trying to dig up the past, trying to figure it out, overthink everything. Maybe it's just time, just to look at some of the issues as, maybe a speck of dust or something on the shoe. Okay, it's there. Let me brush it off. I'm not going to give any more energy to it, so I can go move forward.
Yes, that's a great analogy, and it's interesting that right now, as I said pre-show, I don't think any of us need to look very far to find out what's bothering us. We're being triggered every minute of the day, whether it's through news articles going around the world, or whether it's you get in your car and you just drive to the next stop sign. It's really simple that we're being triggered. So to go to look for things to release is really, it's not even an issue anymore. So that timeline is crossed, and it's popping up. And as you said, people are popping up in other countries. And the vision I had we're like wildflowers. Just the seed gets carried and it starts to sprout. And as we do that, that's what we do, is we look around, and because we're social beings, and who else is experiencing this? Who else is having this challenge? And so, as you said, we've entered into a new energy, a new paradigm, where a lot of the old practices, a lot of the old systems aren't going to cover this. It's sort of like something would work as a medicine for a certain while, and then the disease changed, dis-ease, not physically, just dis-ease changed, and that medicine no longer works. And now we have to say, okay, what do we do now? That's where I think we're all at right now. What do we do now? And again, to release is probably what everybody on the planet is doing rapidly. It's also adding to the atmosphere of chaos, not intentionally, but necessarily. There's a necessarily, we have to go through this. It's uncomfortable. It's not pleasant. But we have to go through this energy in order for us to refocus and realign within ourselves.
I agree. The masses, the realizing this and the awareness of other people going through this, I see when I look around, different groups or even things I put on, when they all of a sudden come across, well, gee, so-and-so has this. It's a little, like you said, they're being triggered. And then it comes to the point of, well, what am I going to do about it? I don't like the things I'm seeing. So next step in evolution is becoming awareness of their own energy, becoming empowered, and then getting the idea of unity. That, hey, even though I thought I didn't like such and such a group, there's people in that group I like. It's releasing the old ideas. They don't mean anything anymore because, my new best friend is somebody of a group I never thought I'd like in my life.
We're moving, and that's, as you talk, I think about the indigenous people and the Aboriginal people, the first foot races. When the grasslands dried up, they moved. They picked when there was no more water. They picked up and they moved. They weren't happy.
Yeah, we're going to continue on that when we come back, Charlie.
But they had to move.
Conscious media for conscious minds. OMTimes. Being a radio host on IOM FM allows you to build your show on a rich platform with the power of the internet to fulfill your outreach goals and connect with a very specialized and global online audience, unlimited by time and distance. OMTimes Radio will provide you with web relevance, a recognizable conscious brand, and with the standard of excellence that has accompanied every single OMTimes endeavor. Host your show with OMTimes Radio Network.
Hi, this is Sylvia Henderson, intuitive life coach and energy healer. Are you ready to elevate and rise way above your normal? Be sure to listen to my show, Intuitive Transformations, on OMTimes Radio, Sunday evenings at 9 p.m. Eastern. Get the inspiration you need to transform your life.
What if we got rewarded for every good decision?
Dinner. Meal needs a vegetable. Check.
Amazing.
Vegetables cooked with a healthier oil instead of butter.
Fantastic.
Replacing bad fats with healthier fats like those in canola or vegetable oil is good for your heart. Take up the challenge for good health because the you of the future will say,
fantastic.
Visit heart.org/face the fats. Canola Info proudly supports the American Heart Association's Face the Fats campaign.
There is no death, only a change of worlds. Chief Seattle. Deborah Livingston is an award-winning intuitive psychic medium whose international services include mediumship, spiritual assessment, animal communication, and spiritual mentoring. She is a published author and a trained shaman. Deborah provides evidential messages from spirit and departed loved ones. Learn more at deblivemedium.com. That's DEBLIV medium.com.
Well, getting back with Charlie, important word he said, water. Let's look at what water and the issues with water, planetary-wise, personally-wise, health-wise, what it's been showing us, and as a form of release, that sometimes energetic things have to happen, but water is both a change maker, plus a healer. So now if you would go on after I added my 2 cents there.
Well, seeing that we're both first incarnation here in this form was Pisces, so water we're very comfortable in water. It is interesting, and I left off about indigenous and aboriginal and First races. A lot of the reasons they moved was because of lack of water. And so, again, here we're talking about change. We're talking about releasing. So these people had to release everything that they knew, everything that they built their society, their circle, or their community over, and pick it up and move. This is releasing. So they had to release a lot. So, in essence, we're following the same footsteps, the same pattern. It's not an uncommon pattern in Earth existence. It's part of the natural flow. And if you look at the history of water in the world, there's been great floods. There's been, supposedly, the whole world was flooded with water and only so many survived. Listen to the stories that have been told from every end of civilization. It has always been a dance with water. Water is life. And so this is part of, I think, part of this great shift and change in all of us, and is really part of the awakening of each of us, and why we're being drawn to look so deeply at how our emotions, the water, it's the essence, the memory, the water, everything reverts back to the water, and the water is speaking to a lot of people right now.
Well, also you have the balance. And people have gone so desensitized. Areas of the world, even areas of this country, lack of water, there's forest fires, destruction. You get Louisiana, too much water.
Right.
Or, with the hurricane season coming up, too much water, you get destruction. There needs to be recognition and balance.
Right. It's true. Here in Maine, this has been the driest year in New England, I think, in the longest period of history. It's almost droughts. It's almost, would you would consider it a drought. Fortunately, we have great underwater, primary water in the aquifer level that can be drawn from. But that's not to say there's a limit to that. So, again, we're having to look at our limitations and our extravagances and shift and choose and say which serves me, what doesn't serve me. So we're getting the message from outside of us just by the water shifting around the world, and our relationship to it. So we have people who are doing fracking, who are destroying water. We have people who are blocking rivers for electricity, things that are no longer needed. These are unnecessary, destructive processes. And what's happening is they're poisoning and polluting the water. They're dumping water out into the ocean and creating bacterial swarms that are amazingly nasty. We have people throwing plastic in the water, polluting the water. What happens when we have no water? Then, the other side of the coin is you have everybody, all these corporations buying it up and controlling it. And so in the end, we're going to have to pay for that. Water is a right to life. Without water, we all don't survive. So what's happening is all of this personal releasing and shifting and changing is really being, inside of me, feels it's being driven by the water. And it's making us a little more consciously aware of how we are reacting and acting and reacting in the physical world. We can no longer take this for granted.
And it's our even physically, in correlation to the word water. Most of us are extremely dehydrated. I mean, we drink fluids, and, I'm raising my hand on this one. I'm really bad, and every time, I get told about it, I'm going, yeah. But I really, like the knock in the head, let's get with it. The releasing, or releasing almost goes along with regenerating, I'm hearing. We're made up of water. The plants, the world is made up of water. The plants are made up of water. It's a great influence in our life. But as far as our physical bodies go, taking in this simple act of maybe saying a prayer over your water, saying I appreciate it. The Japanese scientist Emoto showed physical evidence of speaking to vials of water and then showing cellular, pictures of crystals. Either you had the happy, clear crystals where the water was given love, or you had these dirty, shriveled-looking crystals because, you said you hated it. So, I think this recognition also with water, we need to be grateful for it. We need to express our grateful for it before we ingest any water. Bless it, saying I thank you, I appreciate all you're doing for it. Take a simple one step.
I hear you're expressing, the gratitude for water, and gratitude is a big, powerful part of releasing and integrating, is having gratitude. And what happens is, energetically, when we shift our thinking from a state of fear to a state of gratitude, everything starts to shift. And so here we are being triggered again to remove the fear and shift to gratitude. So what better way to shift is by taking just simple water, your simple glass of water, your shower. None of us go without water. There is not any of us who are going to live without it. So here's the simple process where you can start to recommunicate with water on whatever level you choose. I'm not suggesting you have to go to the level I do or somebody else does or Dr. Emoto, but just take that water, whatever you drink, whatever the water, the liquid, the water base of that, whether it's a vegetable or animal or whatever you're doing, you're ingesting it, and start to have a new relationship. And what happens, I feel, for me, is the releasing is easier because it's sort of like the floodwaters. They come through you and it calms your system. It takes the edge off your nerves. When we're dehydrated, everything is peaking out. And so what I found in myself is to address that dehydration symptom, and there's telltale signs of dehydration. We all know that, and not take it just water, not coffee, not juice, but just appreciate water, a clean, clear glass of water.
And I think also if we have countries where the water supply is polluted, that's pretty much it. They're saying, well, I don't have a clean glass of water to give my children, or to do this. I think no matter what state of the water is in, or wherever you are, if you send love to that water, that even if you ingest it and it still seems polluted, I think it still changes energetically, I'm getting.
Well, this is what I've done with the river blessings. We do with the Four Powers Protocol. I did a water blessing on a couple of shows ago, that you can create what I call mother water, or you can bless it any way you want and then add it. And so you can create your own relationship and invoke your own higher self to be present in the water and bless it. If more and more people do that, we realize that we stand in that I am power, that really true divine space that we really are. And we affect the water, and we change the crystalline structure of it. And so even if you have not access to clean water, bless the water, shift the water, pray to the water, communicate with the water on some level. And you will learn that there is a definite relationship between you and water that has not been taught for thousands of years.
Yeah, I said, just before the break, I had posted on Humanity Healing Online University an article. A teacher, a very insightful teacher, she had 2 apples. And she showed her students, and she said, here these apples are the same. And she said, on the first apple, she goes, hold it, say, send it love, say you're a great apple, you taste good, you're pure, whatever the kids wanted to say. Went to the other apple. Now take this apple and say, I hate you. You're rotten, all this other stuff. After the exercise, she cuts the 2 apples in half. And what do you think you see? The one that was given love was the pure white juicy apple, which is apples have a lot of water in them. The other apple, the skin inside was shriveled and dark. So, this wonderful teacher is showing our children, an awareness of water. And I think this is, again, all part of, we use the word per se, release, regeneration. And we're going to go into integration on the next one.
The Real Conscious Connection. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM. Have you ever wondered how to change your love paradigm? The secret key is finding a love partnership, not just a regular connection. How do you find these? Through conscious relationships. Ascending Hearts Dating is a dating site for people like you that believes in second chances and a different type of spiritual connection. Try Ascending Hearts for free today at ascendinghearts.com. and change your love paradigm. Ascending Hearts, the premier dating community for the spiritually awake.
Hello! Join us, Lisa Berry and Michelle Carter, every Monday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time for the Mindset Makeover, What's Possible. Get ready to become present, clear, and unstuck, and start living fully, led by your heart. While you listen and feel this transformation through vibration of word, sound, and song, you'll open up to what's possible and experience your shift.
Since the day I stopped drinking, my life has gotten better and better. I can't take any credit for it. It just seems that without alcohol, I think better, I'm more careful with money, I watch what I say, I don't get into trouble like I did when I was drinking. It's scary trying to walk through life alone, and today I have that very distinct feeling that I don't ever have to be alone again. Alcoholics Anonymous. It works. Look us up. Check your phone book, newspaper, or AA.org.
I was struck by that last commercial where they said the words on, I do not have to be ever alone again. And I think this applies to life, and a lot of people are starting to see life differently. Now, when we talk the word integration, we get the sense of, a coming together of many facets of ourselves, and this can be very disturbing. Charlie and I had mentioned privately before that we were kind of lucky. We were kind of eased into it. But nowadays, everybody is smack dab in the middle of sensory overload. People are seeing things, people are hearing things, people are feeling things, people are experiencing telepathy. You know, it used to be if you got mad, you could go and think, oh, blah, 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 towards somebody. Well, now that person sometimes hears it. Not a good thing. So it's a lot's happening, and this is all part of the integration process as we are evolving as a unit in masses. This is causing enlightenment and chaos. Do you have any thoughts on this?
Always have thoughts. It's interesting, integration. When I looked and I tried to see what was in the field about integration and sort of integrating the energies, in relationship to what we're going through now, there was nothing, or I couldn't find anything that would respond, or I could find any connection to. And that was interesting because there's a whole lot about releasing, and there's massive, copious amounts of articles and prayers and intentions on releasing, but not that much about integration as far as what do we do when, after the releasing, what do we fill that space with? Because it leaves us with this emptiness. And at least for me, as you said, you and I have had 20, 30 years working this path. And so we've had times where we could gradually release, and if we didn't like something, like, I'll do that next week. That's my attitude. I don't want to deal with that now. Maybe in 6 months I'll be ready to deal with that. But what's happening now is the energy is shifting so much, and so rapidly, because the Earth's energy is changing so rapidly, that people are getting thrown into this chaos, this energetic chaos, and they are becoming overwhelmed. So the issue is, not only do we have to release a lot of stuff, but in that space we create this void. So the human mind wants to fill that space. And it's a natural process of the human mind. That's what it's designed to do. It wants to fill empty space. And look around your house. And it is really obvious to us. We love to fill space. The answer is, for this, what we need to do is integrate that empty space back into who we are, not fill it with something else. And this is the challenge. This is the challenge we all face, is taking that energy. And now we're left with, we got rid of the stuff, but we still have the energy that's there. What do we do with that energy, and how do we redirect it? So for me, integration is redirection. It's calling stuff back. I'm bringing it back in, I'm bringing it back in, and we're going to grade it up and recycle it into something more in alignment with who we are now in this moment. So that's what I've been feeling about the word integrate and integration. And right now we're being, so many people are being energetically exploded. And even when we do releasing mantras or prayers, whatever, so we've created this emptiness, but then it leaves us feeling alone and lonely and separate. And so the intention is to reunify, because separation is actually how we ended up in this place, in this spot, as a human race. It's separation. So how do we call that energy back and reunite? You mentioned earlier about groups, finding groups. And so even in my own journey, I'm finding groups. And some I resonate with and some I don't resonate with. And, again, this is, we're searching. We've left the field of drought there, and we're moving, and we're trying to integrate into a new world, a new society, a new way of thinking.
And what I'm no, go ahead.
No, go ahead. That you want to take it from there, great. But that was my thought. We're moving into something new, and we have to integrate into that newness.
A really good point that he brought out, there's always got to be balance. Like if you look at release, if you look at this tornado, you're in the middle of a tornado and you got this energy and you got all this stuff that's being thrown out of you as part of the release. But you need the balance. So we move into the next tornado, integration, which is sort of like an energy or a download coming into you. But people are becoming so sensitive that now we got to look at the mass consciousness. People are reacting to everybody's energy and taking it on as their own. If you're around people or cultures, let's say religious cultures, I'm not trying to point out things, but if they're angry or if they're saying this is the only way, and you're constantly exposed on it, even if something in your heart says, no, this is not exactly what I'm feeling, but you've become so sensitive that you are like a sponge. You're absorbing it, and soon you're projecting those thoughts. So I think part of the integration process is to find your own soul, your own center, your own heart, which is hard during this time. I mean, many times I'll look at things and I see the injustices, I see the hurt, I see the anger, and then I find myself picking up on it. I'm going, no, this is not mine.
True. We're beginning to recognize, at least many of us who have been through a lot of this for a longer period of time, and I think it's not that anybody is any better than anybody else, because we all go through this at whenever we are ready as a soul to go through this, and this is part of our processing, is that we come to recognize parts of ourselves in each other, and we start to relate and transmute things rather than transform things. And these two words want to interplay with me all the time. And what I think we're doing is integration is, if you're transforming something, what you're doing is you've just changed the form of the same stuff. You still have that same thing, you've just changed the form of it. Okay? And what we really have to do is transmutate it, is make it a completely different thing. So when we release something, we're releasing the form, we're releasing the energy. But there is always the balanced energy which is returning to us. So if it was negative, we're returning the positive back to us. What do we do with that? That's how we can take that energy and then shift and change exponentially, is the word that's coming through, and take that and really look and see, where do I want to spend that energy? It's like money in the bank. Where do I want to spend that? And do I want to go and do the same thing over again? No, we want to shift and change. We want to shift and change, and we want to make it more harmonious and more balanced, because as we've released it, we recognize our own discomfort, and we see the discomfort in the world in a larger scale. So I don't know where I just went with that, but that's okay. That's what just came through, and I love when they do that. So anything you can add to that? Did I lose you?
Yeah, no, we've gone through 3 stages of the new process that we're doing in this now new time. We've gone from learning a different idea of the word, perceptions of the word release. Then we've gone into integration, and we're saying we are so sensitive. Now, what do we take? Do we become followers, Or do we just become points of light, centered points of light? And you have to work with that. And this is all seed thoughts. And, these are maybe directions for people to look into finding themselves and not being affected by the masses. Because that's not all of us. You have to be true to yourself. And when you're true to yourself, like Charlie brought up into transmutation, you're taking the energy that's within your light in your heart and you say, okay, where am I going to go with this? What am I going to create? What new adventure am I going to look for? And out of this whole talk, we find out that we're going through 3 different stages. I think that's pretty awesome.
Oh, I'm sure there's more too, but thank you for that, because it's all part of what we're going through, and this is why it's so very confusing for us as humans in our human programming to try to get a good grip on. So in some moments we can be very rational and think we got to figure it out, and then in the next moment, just it all of a sudden it shifts, and it's like, bingo, where did that come from, and how does that relate to this and this? So we're always in this sort of state of
transformation.
Yeah. It's a morphic resonance that has to be dealt with in the moment. It's not something you can plan on, which humans like to plan things. You can't do that anymore. So it's a very edgy, very challenging place we're all existing in, regardless of how much you understand of it or you don't understand of it. None of us are experts at this. We'd like to think we are, but that's the human ego mind just running a little rampant. Because in a moment...
Yeah, we'll continue this after this.
Feed your soul with waves of consciousness on OMTimes Radio. The number one reason girls drop out of school in sub-Saharan Africa is lack of access to feminine hygiene products. The Pads for Schoolgirls Project, an outreach of Humanity Healing International, is changing this paradigm by setting up sewing programs at schools, teaching girls a vocational skill, while producing the reusable pads that help keep them attending classes. The girls pay it forward by making and giving pad kits to other girls in need. To learn more, visit humanityhealing.org. Humanity Healing is where your heart is.
Hello, I'm Miriam Knight of New Consciousness Review, inviting you to my new show where I interview the rising stars of the conscious awakening. We'll explore the many faces of consciousness in action and intriguing perspectives on life, the universe, and everything in between. Join us each Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern on the Rising Stars Show.
I'm Alec Baldwin with People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals. I grew up loving circuses and other traveling animal shows, but it never occurred to me what life might be like for the animals. Training wild animals to do things they don't understand takes force. Routine discipline with a hook or whip with the heel of a boot shows the animal exactly who's the boss. Don't patronize animal acts. Please contact People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals.
757-622-PETA.
Well, we're back and we've discussed a lot of things. I've put a few ideas out there for you to think about, all the changes that's coming. And the word transformation, I was thinking, all right, this is a stage that we're being led into. And I think people would say, well, what am I supposed to do with it? And I would say, look into your heart. Do you have a dream for your life? do you have something you'd like to see in the world? Would you like to see a peaceful world? Would you like to see a healthy world for your children, or your grandchildren, for your family? And look and see with that pocket of energy that we were talking about, since you are transforming yourselves, what could I do with it? How can I add to this beautiful world that I want to create? And to me, it really doesn't matter where you are in the world. I believe in the beauty of everybody's hearts. I believe that sometimes we get sidelined, by mass anger directions and stuff, but that's part of your soul growth. For you to start really looking at yourself and say, what do I want to be? Who do I want to be? What do I want to offer the world? No one can change you except you. If you start realizing there's a lot to you. You are not just this physical being. I know we constantly say that, but there's a beautiful intelligence in you. There's a beautiful heart in you. That if you make a change in yourself, that energy is going to radiate around you, and other people, animals, plant life, everything is going to be affected. This is part of the transformative stage, to see, all right, I'm changing, what to do with it. Be who you are. That's part of the integration, to realize you are more, that you've chosen as a soul contract to come in this earth school and experience. It's complicated to explain in a short time, but just want you to think about that and realize you're very powerful. Your hearts and light are powerful in this world.
I think you're right on point there. The realization of who we are as creator beings. Who is this I and you that we continually speak about? It's no longer this being who is subjected to frailty and empowerment, or non-empowerment in the world anymore. What's happening is we're accessing our true power and our true potential as what is considered divine energy, or super energy, super intelligent energy, however you want to look at it. And so this is why we're getting overloaded on so many levels, because it breaks down the doors of all paradigms. And so releasing, part of the releasing, what are we releasing? We're releasing the old belief systems. We're releasing the old stories. We're releasing things that we thought were true, but then come to realize because of this new energy that we are, that it doesn't hold truth anymore. It doesn't mean that it wasn't true for that point in time in our lives or our evolutionary path, but it's not there anymore. There's no credence to it, and we let it go. And then we call back that energy. And every time we do that, every time we release, we become stronger and more powerful and more beautiful. Our hearts open, our peace starts to take hold within us, and we can be peaceful in the middle of an argument. And it's a bizarre feeling when somebody is just totally stressing out at you, and you just stand there and you take all of this energy and you say, and it's not affecting you. And it's like, what happened? There's something wrong here. I should be enraged by this, and you're not. And that's what we start to experience as we release and we integrate. And so many of us are now doing that on, for myself, it's on small levels, but it's very profound. It's a very profound change within ourselves. And so, as you said, what do we do with that energy? Show up. It keeps coming up lately. Just show up. Be the light that you are. Be the beautiful soul, heart being that you are. And don't stress too much about how you're going to how you're going to do it or what you're going to do it, but just continue to know that millions of us are doing this now. It's not just 100, it's not just 500, it's not just 300. When we look at the world, it's, it's not happening, it is happening. And it's happening. The seeds of this are happening everywhere around the world. And we're part of a human evolution that is going to have a profound effect. And we're being called to it by our planetary mother and our mother water. And it's perfect. It really, we're actually, I think, in a state of perfecting ourselves.
Yeah, and I've from learning more about soul contracts right now, it's you chose to be here at this time. And it's all for learning in this earth school. Learning and growing and coming to the realization of unity and oneness and love. And the matter of feeling it. And this is where everybody is really coming, at this point. And it's overwhelming. And like Charlie says, when somebody is raging at you, just to say, okay, something else is going on with that person, not to take it personally and not to redirect it, project it back. And that's hard.
Oh, of course it is. It's very hard. I mean, we've been programmed not to do that. And, so...
Yeah, we've always been told, stand up for your rights. Well, right now you're standing up for who you are inside. Mm. It's not who you are on the outside, whether I'm going to be more forceful than you, or I'm going to tell you what to do, or don't talk to me like that. No, it's to say, step back and say, all right, something's going on with this person. I may not understand it, I may not like it, but I'm not going to take it in. But just to say something's happening and I don't understand it, but I'm not going to name it what it used to be, and I'm not going to do what I used to do. I'm going to, if I do nothing, at least that's different than what I normally did before. So what I find a lot of times is just to be as still as you possibly can. And I noticed that happening on social media. I mean, yes, there's still some places where people get on each other and call each other names and stuff, but I'm seeing a major shift. When somebody vents off, or either they'll scroll down and just not ignore the conversation so that person's not getting any feedback, or they'll say something nice, not trying to get into that person, what's ever going on in their life, but they're just saying, okay, this is how you feel, I hear you, may not agree with you, and then they let it go. And this is a mighty big step for humanity, I think.
Yes, for us to hear each other. This is an important step, for us to hear each other without going to war.
Right. Yeah, it's not so much the bullyish, or who's got the biggest mouth or the most power, or I'm going to do this to you or not do that thing. I mean, that's just a game, and I think we see all over the world so many examples, and especially in the United States right now. We're going, oh my God, I don't want this. It's a big game going on here, but even the people who are doing this game, they're showing us something. And we're at a level of understanding where we're going to say, that's not for me. I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm not going to follow.
Yeah, what's happening in the world is the greatest opportunity for us to look in the mirror at ourselves and what we're going through on an individual level, and also helps to allow us to discern better what needs to go and what needs to remain. And And that's, I think, the constant process of releasing and integrating is discerning what needs to go, and we're moving. You know, it's like we're cleaning house. We're moving, and so we can't take all of this with us. There's going to be things we love dearly that we're going to have to say, no, it's no longer. It was beautiful then, but it's not acceptable now.
And that's where you hear that constant phrase, "It's not aligned with us anymore."
Yeah.
Moving on, where there's people, things, actions, places, whatever, is all of you are growing. We can't stop it. You chose to be here. You chose to experience it. You're not going to say stop.
And
the world.
And you chose to grow.
Yeah.
And you chose to evolve. And you chose to be in a dimension and a life that evolution was going to take place, and we're doing it.
And I think we're doing it good. I mean, sometimes we all fall back, and that's normal. Everybody does it in their own timing. But I think just before the show ends, I think Charlie made me agree. Be who you are and share your wisdom with other people. There's no teachers in this world. We all are. Any words you want to stick in there, Charlie?
No, other than I love you.
Thanks. Until the next time, be at peace and be in love.